Makes all the sense. I have to ask you, I know our audience doesn't know that you've had senior level positions working for Fortune 100 companies, C-level positions, C-suite level positions. And I know, and at the same time, I know that you spent the last 20 plus years developing a software system and a set of processes to help people make these transitions. Why? I mean, you've had big jobs, and it seems like of all the stuff that you've done, you could have kept doing that, and yet you kind of stopped and said, this is so important to me, I'm going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money focusing on this transition issue. Say more about that.
I'd like to take credit that you just gave me for it. Yes, it's been that time frame. Yes, it's been a long time and a lot of money invested. I can tell you that where it came from, the genesis of it, was my executive clients. And so if I was providing onboarding support to a senior executive as part of my recruiting process, so that was the first step, recruiters often just say, congratulations, you got the job, and they call you 3 weeks or 4 weeks into the job to make sure you haven't been fired yet and suggest that we have lunch and see how it's going. I stayed for months on site. I would come back and make sure that the client was keeping his or her commitments to the new manager, new executive. I was making sure that all those things about cultural fit, getting off to a solid start, all of those things were playing out and happening. So when I was doing that, and when clients were experiencing the value of it, because they'd never had that before in most of those organizations, most organizations that say they have an onboarding process, today, more often than not, that's a slightly enhanced orientation program.
Right.
And so I was coaching a senior executive in a large banking organization in Orange County, California. And when I went there to have one of my coaching sessions with her, I asked the CEO, where is she? And he said, well, we have her in teller training. And I said, but she's not a teller. She's the chief financial officer and chief information officer of this multi-gazillion-dollar company. Why is she in teller training? And he said, well, that's where we talk about our corporate culture and our values. And that's the only thing we have. So we don't have anything that we could provide to managers. And so we figured better give her something. Okay. So my definition of onboarding is that it's not an enhanced orientation process. What it is and it's not something that just the company provides. It's a shared responsibility between the new manager or new executive and the organization. It's responsibility that goes for 3 to 5 months, because a lot of things will play out in that 3 to 5 months that can trip somebody up. And so let's provide a support structure. Let's help them navigate the path that we know they're going to take. Again, there are decades of experience that are researched and reported. So we know that over the next 3, 4, 5 months, here are the things that a new manager or new leader is going to have to deal with. And then how do we make sure that they navigate that skillfully? And so we don't assume that they have the best practice skills. We don't assume that they have the emotional intelligence, because so much of it is emotional intelligence based. And as you know from doing assessments and evaluation, you can get at pretty quickly. Even an executive search consultant can pretty quickly get at from somebody's resume, do you have the technical or functional expertise my client needs? But it's a whole bunch more difficult to determine whether they have the emotional intelligence and the toolkit of best practices in leadership or management. And so to make sure that the person does by giving them a support structure. So to answer your question, who was doing all of that 3, 4, 5 months of support and all of this, and everybody was having great outcomes. Nobody was being fired. People were happy. And they said, we need the same stuff to be driven down the management organization, but we can't afford you, and there's only one of you. You know, we understand it's valuable, but we can't justify the cost of an executive coach down at mid-level management. So they said, why don't you use technology to package your coaching and the consulting and the best practices and all of that, and the person can use it 24/7, and get a whole bunch, let's call it the 80-20, of what they would get if they had a live coach. And so that's what we did. So we developed a program called Power Start. Power Start is now used globally. It has been used not just one time by somebody who got recruited into an organization, but they come back. And when they get promoted to the next level of management, they say, I want to use that program again. And often with executive coaching, sometimes the coaches are inside the organization. Sometimes they're contracted from outside the organization. It isn't all me. But this program that I developed is now used by coaches across the country. It's used in all kinds of environments. And it's about reducing the risk. And even for those that say, well, there's no risk, I'm not going to fail.
Right.
Okay. And even the clients that would say, well, we spent a lot of time assessing and evaluating this person and they've got a golden resume, so we don't think they're going to fail. So I always say, well, how would you like their contribution to be made faster? How would you like there to be no stumbles? How would you like there to be no missteps or mistakes? And how would you like that person to almost be guaranteed to be successful? Call it insurance. I sit here very happy to tell you, my grandkids are happy to tell you that the online program is licensed frequently and widely, that my coaching, I still, as you pointed out, at this late stage of my career, I'm still working full time and coaching executives. And it's not because I'm out there marketing. It is self-sustaining because of its value proposition.